Om. 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 Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam, Trilokyam Sacharacharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Twameva Mata cha Pita Twameva, Twameva Bandhuscha Sakha Twameva, Twameva Vedya Dravinam Twameva, Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let me see if Ganesh has texted. Oh, you are here. We will wait for you. Do we have Joanna online tonight?
No, we don't.
Thank you for coming all this way. No. In the rain, and there's a text on the table if you need it. Yep. Okay. Happy Shivaratri. Yeah. Happy Shivaratri. Do you know Trevor? This is Ganesh. It's just us chickens. Everybody's off to the temple doing Shivaratri stuff.
Oh yeah, I just came from the temple.
Out in Livermore?
No, I went to Milpitas. There's one there.
Okay. Okay.
Probably head back there after class.
All right. So where are we in our text?
We're in chapter 13 on verse 18.
Chapter 13, verse 18. Field and the knower of the field. Do you have a page?
No, I'm sorry.
I got it. 905, I think. Jyotishamapi. Should I go?
Well, yeah, I think so. Unless we need a review of where we are. I think everybody's up to speed. Go ahead.
Jyotishamapi tajyoti tamas paramuchyate tamasah paramuchyate jnanam nyayam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. That Brahman, the light of all lights, is said to be beyond darkness. It is knowledge, the object of knowledge, seated in the hearts of all to be reached by knowledge.
Yes, so there's so many ways to address this verse. So the first thing to understand always, the self is not up there in the sky. It's not like I'm going to reach the self. Who sees the water glass? I do. That's yourself. We don't get a new self. The problem is, in my mind, I have superimposed all sorts of ideas on that. The chief one is Jiva Bhavana. I think I'm a person. I think I'm the body plus the personality. Now, this is not just, oh, I think I'm stupid, or oh, I think I'm fabulous. It's much more like hypnotism, or much more like a dream. It's vivid. It's very vivid. But just like you are the substratum of the dreamer ego, whatever happens in the dream happens to you. So also in the waking state, whatever happens to you. But I think, just like in the dream, when I think I'm identified with that body, I'm identified with the one here. Now, just like in the dream state, my one unified individual mind refracts, it splinters into a dream body, which becomes a locus of perception. In the dream, I have the triple factor: knower, knowing, and known. But upon awakening, first I see that it's all imagination. But two, I see that knower, knowing, and known, the triple factor, is my one unified mind, appearing as knower, knowing, and known. So also, my favorite mantra from Chandogya, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, Sarvamidam, all this is verily Brahman. Now, how do I know it? I'm not going to be in meditation and the self is going to go by. Doesn't work that way. In a mind that's made very quiet. We had talked about the purpose of ritual. Ganesh has been a yogi for quite a while, and you're going off to do ritual tonight, right?
Yeah, or participate in it.
Trevor one is going to go do it too. You're going to Livermore? Concord. Concord, okay. But the thing is, these practices help us achieve Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind. We may also do it if we're rooted in knowledge, because it's our way of expressing our love for the infinite. It's all right. But as we practice these rituals, in time, they must be accompanied by intense vairagya. That's always the problem. It's my attachments, it's my identifications. That's what holds the personal sense of self in place. So it's not so much about needing to achieve the self, acquire the self, obtain the self. It's about getting rid of the ignorance. Now, what is the instrument for knowing the self? Very important question. We're dealing with two kinds of knowledge here. The first knowledge is a perfect knowledge. It never leaves us. It's always there. It's not influenced by mind states. And that's the self-evidence of the self. How do you know you are you? And a mind made very still. With the mind's eye introverted. Notice who you are. No, there's nothing there. That did not create myself. That's an aha that happens in the mind. That's very important. But the direct experience of the self is self-evident. Swayambhu. You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself, yet you know you are. But this is only the first part of the process. And we have these three questions. Who am I? What is this world? And how has it come about? So the self is self-evident. Now, as Chandogya says, all this is verily Brahman. So is the objective world nothing but Brahman. Who is it who's knowing the objective world? That too is the self-evidence of Brahman. Brahman is the knower, and the thing to be known is Brahman. There's nothing else to be known in the end. And the names and forms come about sankalpena, by means of imagination. How do I see the self in and through the world? Again, I have to dial down my attachments, my aversions, my projection. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
इति क्षेत्रं तथा ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं चोक्तं समासत मद्भक्त एतद्विज्ञाय मद्भावायोपपद्यते. Thus the field as well as the knowledge, and the knowable has been briefly stated. Knowing this, my devotee enters into my being.
Yes. So here what Krishna is saying, we have to know the field, this world of name and form, and know what it is. Sa Guna Brahman. Brahman appearing as the world of name and form. There's no otherness. Who's doing the knowing? Brahman. What is the knowing? Brahman. What is the field? Brahman. God does not create the world at us and to us. It is all consciousness appearing as Namarupa, name and form. So to hear this from the scripture and from the teacher is indirect knowledge. We were talking about this earlier, scripture study. How do I see the self in and through the world? Intense vairagya. There's abandonment of my investment in the mind itself. I can't think a real thought. No personal sense of self is real. Any thoughts, comments? Next verse.
Prakritim purusham chaiva vidhyannadi ubhavapi vikaramscha gunanschaiva vidhi prakriti sambhavan. Now you know that matter, prakriti, and spirit, purusha, are both beginningless, and know you also that all modifications and qualities are born of prakriti.
So these are terms borrowed from Sankhya philosophy. Prakriti meaning nature, the phenomenal world, the stuff out of which everything is made, the mind stuff. And then Purusha here means the self, the eternal subject, but they're not really two. It looks like two, but it's not two. So, knowing this, it's all going to be okay. It's all safe. It's all unfolding just as it's supposed to. And the substratum consciousness is never touched. Going on.
Karya karana kartritve hetu prakritirujyate purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktritve heturuchyate. In the production of the effect and the cause, prakriti is said to be the cause. In the experience of pleasure and pain, purusha is said to be the cause.
So read that again. He said cause, two different causes, right?
Yeah, in the production of the effect and the cause, prakriti is said to be the cause. In the experience of pleasure and pain, purusha is said to be the cause.
Okay, so the idea is the circumstances are in the world. My car works fine, that's in the world. My car breaks down, that's not in the world. Prakriti is the cause. I'm going to push back a little bit what he means by Purusha here. Because in fact, the self ultimately is the cause of everything, but not inherently of mind states. Mind states are part of Prakriti. Part of Prakriti. See how he modifies that if he does. Self is vigunaihi, beyond the gunas. Always the witness of it. What is pleasure and pain? It is the mind's reaction to conducive or non-conducive environments. And it's completely mechanical. It's based on the quality of my mind and the force of the past.
Again, the commentary here says that might be might be helpful. It says that the awareness in us illuminate, or every experience in its final analysis is judged either as pain or pleasure. The awareness in us illuminates these. It would be impossible to be conscious of the flow of experiences without the grace of the consciousness.
Absolutely. It is the self that illumines every experience.
And it says, therefore, the spirit, Purusha, is explained here as the cause for the experiences in life.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't mean myself undergoes change.
Right.
Myself illumines the mind's responses of pleasure and pain. Well, in that sense, it's the cause of everything. All right, going on.
The original Sanskrit actually doesn't say anything about experience of pleasure and pain. It just says bhoktrutva, so which means like you're the experience and bhokta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think here maybe
So everything is illumined by me as the ultimate experiencer of everything. Thank you.
Purusha prakristho hi bhunkte prakritijan gunan karanam guna sangosya sadasadyoni janmasu. The Purusha, seated in Prakriti, experiences the qualities born of Prakriti. Attachment to the qualities is the cause of this birth in good and of his birth in good and evil wombs.
Yes. So, in truth, the self does not incarnate. It's like the space in the water glass. It is not really bound by the water glass. What is it that reincarnates? It's the subtle body that goes from incarnation to incarnation. Why does it do it? Because of its attachment. The body is fundamentally a vehicle to garner experience and satisfy desire. The deepest level, the body is an instrument for realization of the self. But it takes many of us a long time to get there. So I like to say the glass is like the physical body. The water in the glass is like the subtle body. I can pour it from one glass into another. But yourself is like the space and is always the unattached, uninvolved witness of everything. It's a still point. Now, we have to prove this to ourselves. How do we do it? First of all, in meditation, when the mind becomes quiet enough. We were talking about the Ramana Maharshi folks. His one great technique, koham, who am I? Keep turning the mind's attentive faculty back on the self. You see, there's nothing there. But also through the day, stop. Remember things that have been helpful to me. If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. Everything my mind presents to me based on thinking I'm a person is all rooted in delusion. Who am I? Oh, that's right. Aham Brahmasmi. Shivoham, Shivoham. Nothing touches me. It's all okay. There's no person there. Over and over and over again. Dhyana abhyasa. This is the practice of knowledge. It's not a vain repetition. I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. It gets us nowhere. It's that practice of turning the mind inward. You can hear the rain. Who hears it? What hears? It's just a sound in an empty sky of awareness. Now, when it comes to reincarnation, another way to look at it is, do you incarnate into a dream? Are you in the dream or is the dream in you? Well, it feels like I'm in the dream. When I'm in the dream, it feels like I am that dream body going through these dream experiences. But upon awakening, no, I was not trapped in the dream. I had the weirdest one this morning. I was in my little sports car, my little Mark I Austin Healey Sprite. I was trying to go up this mountainy road, and there was like ice, and this car didn't have much power, and it just wouldn't go. And then behind me was this big old truck. So I let my car slide backwards to the side, and this big old semi just goes through the ice. Very strange dream. But was I in my car driving on an icy mountain? Seemed like I was in it, but no, upon awakening, it was all in me. This is no different. In truth, the self is never bound. Never was bound. The feeling that I was a miserable creature with all these problems was like a very long and very vivid dream. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Upadrishtanumanta cha bharta bhok Upadrishtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshvara paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushah para. The Supreme Purusha in this body is also called the spectator, the permitter, the supporter, the enjoyer, the great Lord, and the Supreme Self.
So he's given us a list of descriptors. Now, always understand that these point, they do not define. I like to say map, not territory. I used to love to go up to Mount Tam and look out over the Marin Headlands. And you can look at a road map. I guess if you're using Google Maps, you see the roads going up there now. Or you can look at elevation maps. But standing on the top of Mount Tam is a direct experience. So these words, they help, but we have to make sure we don't get caught up. They do not define, they point. So let's go through each one and see what it indicates. So what's the first one?
The spectator.
Yes. Meaning the self is the unattached witness of everything. Now, in the tradition, we always invite people to take up the practice, Sakshi Bhava, take on the attitude of the witness. Well, the truth is, you can't become the witness. You just begin to notice that you always are the witness. Always just watching. Now, if you're walking down the sidewalk and there's an automobile accident and you are a spectator, a witness, when the ambulances come, they don't take you to the hospital. You are not touched. You just saw it. So also politics, health, relationship, finances, all of that just goes by. But you are the spectator, the witness of them all. Next idea.
Committer, the one that commits.
Yes. So all of this comes about because I is the life principle that enlivens everything. Deepak Chopra was once asked if is death the opposite of life? And he said, no. Birth is the opposite of death. There is no opposite to life. You are Baba, being, which permits the equipment to function. It's that asparsha yoga, that touch of the untouched that allows everything to happen. Physics is even getting to the point where it's implying that matter doesn't even have any form without something to witness it, to permit it. It's a little beyond me. I'm not smart enough to understand. Next idea.
Supporter.
Yes. It is the substratum, the background of everything. The chair. The easiest way to understand this is to go back to the dream state. If I see a chair in my dream, can the chair be taken out of my dream and put in my waking state living room? No. Why? Because the chair in my dream is my mind appearing as a chair. all this. Nothing but Krishna appearing as name and form. Next idea.
The enjoyer.
Yes, or the experiencer here. Did he use Bhokta again?
Yeah.
Yes. So whatever happens, who's aware of it? I am. Even ignorance. Do you know what I had for dinner tonight?
Oh,
Who's aware of the ignorance?
me.
Yeah. I know, not knowing. That's what the self is always doing. It's eyeing, it's ising, it's knowing. Next idea.
The great Lord.
Yes. So it is that which causes everything to be as it is. So some scriptures, in attempting to explain this, will talk about the ground of being is Brahman, neuter noun. The first idea is Brahma, the creator, or Ishvara, the Lord, the God principle. And what we find is it's all organized, it's synchronous, it's unfolding perfectly. Believe it or not, underneath it all is a law of love. So what Krishna's implying here is rest in the Lord. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My neurotic mind is all caught up with fear or control or anxiety or regret for the past. That's all a superimposition. It too, in the end, is God, appearing as that crazy mind. Even the ignorant get intimations of this. People who aren't even yogis will love being in nature. Why? Because without the screwed up human minds around, we get an intuitive sense of beauty and harmony. It's always there. It's always there. If we fall into it. Any thoughts on this?
I was wondering if the self is the witness underlying every experience, and that nothing is not the self, and how do we forget we're the witness?
It seems that part of the Lord's Maya, remember the locus of Maya is Brahman. Your mind exists because of Maya. But the way the Lord's created everything is these beings that seem to appear in Ishvara's dream have minds where they do not know their essential nature. That's what keeps the whole thing running. The Christians, mostly the Eastern Orthodox, use the term original sin to mean the same thing. It's not that two people, Adam and Eve, ate an apple. That's nonsense. It means that we're born into a condition of spiritual ignorance. And the fruit of that spiritual ignorance is to think I'm a person. That condition is inherently impoverished. I'm not enough, there's not enough. Then I get out the baseball bat, start playing whack-a-mole with the world, or beat myself up. And one of my favorite sayings of the Master Jesus, he would say, I of myself do no thing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. Let that intuition operating. But the precondition to that is we have to give up our investment. I must have it this way. I'll never have it that way. Now, some of the rituals in Hindu thought, Hindu practice, in the Vedas, people attempt to use God as a super errand boy. If I do this puja, then I'll be able to get what I want. And sometimes it actually works. But it doesn't deal with the fundamental discontent, restlessness. I believe that getting what I want will make me happy. No, getting what you want just gets you what you want. And then what happens to it? Part of the Lord's Sankalpa for this cosmos. All names and forms are impermanent. All relationships end in death or divorce. All bodies get sick and die. All jobs end. Every car breaks down. Isn't that kind of a dour, pessimistic way of looking at life? No, there's enormous freedom in it. We don't have unrealistic expectations on life. Allows us to cherish what's there. Always understanding the Vishayananda. When desire and object of desire become one, a little kiss of the bliss of Brahman, and then it's gone. And if I don't realize that it's really a taste of myself, then I'm impelled to want to repeat it. Vasana. God does not visit suffering on people. There's no God up there that says, I don't like the way Trevor parts his hair, so I'm going to make his day miserable. There's no such God. And in the end, there's no God who's saying, oh, you didn't do the puja right. No money for you or no love for you. There's no such God. The way the Master Jesus framed it, whatsoever you ask, believing, so shall you receive. So the Hindus will do a puja to get money, love, whatever. In Christianity, people go marching off to Lourdes to get healed. Nishin Shoshu Buddhists chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to get what they want. The New Agey metaphysicians do affirmations. And it can work somewhat. Because of an understanding of sankalpa. That's all it is. But all of those practices frequently don't deal with the underlying belief that causes our suffering, which is, I'm not enough, there's not enough. People, places, things, and conditions, what I need in order to be okay, to be happy. And in order to remove that, we have to come to a place where we stop making demands on God. God is not your errand boy. God is not Super Santa Claus. Rather, I of myself do no thing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. Let me surrender to the intelligence that's running the whole universe. Is that useful?
It is. Yeah.
All right, next verse.
Oh, there's one last one.
Okay,
The Supreme Self.
yes. Meaning the Uttama Purusha, the Purushottama, the supreme essence of personness, spirit, and yourself are the same thing. Investigate this phony self. Who are you? And one of the terms we have in the tradition is chaya. Chaya means a shadow. What happens when you shine a light on a shadow? It disappears. But if you really investigate yourself, thinking you're going to find a Jim or a Trevor or a Ganesh, it falls. I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. Next, is that it on that verse?
So yeah.
All right, next one.
Ya evam vetti purusham prakritim cha gunai sa sarvatha vartamanopi nasa bhuyo bhijayate. He who thus knows the Purusha and Prakriti together with the qualities, whatsoever condition he may be, he is not born again.
Yes, so we have these ideas of how to have a good death. You want to make sure you die in the first 6 months of the year, not the second 6 months of the year. You want to be in the first fortnight of the month, not the second fortnight of the month. That's the 2 week period of the moon. The path of the sun, not the path of the smoke or the spirits. You want to, if you can, die on the banks of the Ganges, etc., etc., etc. The truth is, if you are a knower of Brahman, this means knowing Purusha and Prakriti. Nirguna Brahman, Saguna Brahman. Oh. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter where you go. Doesn't matter where you die. Just like if it's a sunny day in the fall, you have a long shadow. Are you worried if your shadow falls in the gutter? Are you going to have a funeral if it's an overcast day and you don't have a shadow? You are not this body. What should I do then with life? Serve. Serve the society. And what's the greatest of all service? Getting out of the way and letting that power and presence of God function through you, pour through. Next verse.
ध्यानेन आत्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना अन्ये साङ्ख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. Some by meditation behold the self in the self by the self, others by the yoga of knowledge, by Sankhya Yoga, and others by Karma Yoga.
So the first thing is through self-inquiry, when we get to the point where we can unknow the mind. And by Sankhya Yoga, through the study of scripture, through the practice of jnana abhyasa, and then karma yoga, 5 elements we go through exhaustively, chapters 3 through 5. Act. How? According to your swadharma, according to your inherent latent proclivities, but not selfishly, in the yajna spirit, in the spirit of sacrifice. Make everything sacred. You have a new employer. Everything for the sake of God. Renouncing our attachment to the fruits of action. All we get is work in this life, never its fruits. And then finally, our renunciation of karta bhokta cha, the sense of agency. Who is the agent? What is the agent? Guna and karma. Qualities of the mind and the force of the past. This exhausts vasana without creating new ones. That's the science of vasana purgation in karma yoga. And Raja Yoga is also a valid path. He doesn't directly talk about it in this chapter. Takes more time. but it's a valid path. Going on.
Anye tvavevama Anye tvevamajananta Shrutvanyebhya upasate Tepi chatitarantyeva Mrityum Shrutiparayana. Others also, not knowing this, worship, having heard of it from others. They too cross beyond death. They would regard what they have heard as their supreme refuge.
Yes. So some people may have been taught, oh, worship the mother, do these particular pujas, and in time they cross over. Or you may not even be a Hindu. You may have the idea, if I'm a good Christian and I go to confession and I go to Mass every Sunday, then I'll go to heaven. What he's implying here, I love to say this, Vedanta is the most compassionate of all religions because everybody makes it. Everybody makes it. Well, what about these horrible people? Aren't they going to be punished? Well, that's part of the process. Because if we look to our own lives, when we deviate from the Dharma, it hurts. That becomes the great corrector. That is the discipliner. The word discipline and disciple come from the same root. Some of us develop humility by eating a whole lot of humble pie. Others of us could just surrender. What we're doing hurts bad enough, we stop. Either in this lifetime or another. But in the end, everybody comes home to God. I was working with someone this morning, and one of the things he's really becoming aware of is how judgmental he is. He says, I'm a judgmental bitch. How do I get out of being judgmental? I think it's when I fully understand my own mind. When I embrace my own inner healer. When I see what the human mind is capable of. And if you're like me, whenever I've behaved badly in thought, word, or deed, it's been as a response to being fearful or hurt. Now you know why everybody else does what they do. Welcome to the human condition. This is not to say they're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and they're wrong, or I'm more spiritual and they're just worldly pieces of poop. No. When I understand my own mind, this is the doorway to compassion, to deep, deep empathy. They are like myself. Any thoughts on this? If, on the other hand, I'm unwilling to look at my own shadow, as Carl Jung used to talk about it, that dark part of my psyche that I'm unwilling to admit is there, that I deny or reject. First of all, those things will come out sideways and unconsciously, and very likely I will criticize them when I see them in other people. All right, going on.
यावत् संजायते किंचित् सत्वं स्थावरजंगमं क्षेत्र संयोगात् दिधि भरत भरत शर्भ क्षेत्र संयोगात् तदिधि तद्विधि भरतर्षभ. Wherever any being is born, the unmoving or the moving, know you, O best of the Bharatas, that it is from the union between the field and the knower of the field.
Yes. So this whole creation, every being in it, it is the union between the field, Prakriti, and the knower of the field, Purusha, between Saguna Brahman, all the stuff, Nirguna Brahman, the conscious being. It's that touch of the untouched. This is why in Hinduism, all of the deities are couples. Shiva is ever wed to Shakti. Krishna is wedded to Radha. Rama and Sita, etc. Why? Because there's always that union between the conscious principle and the stuff out of which all of this is made. If you go look in front of Lord Shiva over there, you'll see a Shiva lingam. And it's not just the lingam, the penis stone, but in the yoni, it's the two together, spirit and matter. But what is matter? Nothing but spirit appearing as mind stuff. Chaitanya, out of which all this is made. Any thoughts on this? So what happens when we start to live from this place and we stop the fighting, the resisting, the denying of the divinity of name and form? The world seems to change. Back to Ramana Maharshi. He was known to have wild animals come up to him. There was no fear. He was the safest place. We have to practice it. Everything. Nothing but Brahman. Going on.
समं सर्वेषु भूतेषु तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरं विनश्य vinashyat spavish vinashyat spavinashyantam yaf pashyati sa pashyati. He sees who sees the Supreme Lord existing equally in all beings, the unperishing within the perishing.
Yeah. So a simple practice. So often when we meet people, we're aware of their body, their behavior, we like or dislike it, their feelings, their thoughts. But I had a friend who was a poet who spoke of a human being's eyes as magic holes in eternity. Not a wonderful phrase? That when you look into someone's eyes, there's a conscious being looking out. Now, if to some degree I know I'm not my body, I'm not my feelings, I'm not my thoughts, I am that Chidakash, that space of pure awareness. Well, so is everybody else. So the being looking out of those persons' eyes is God and is my own swarup. Practice relating to that rather than the body or the body's behavior or a person's ideas or history. All of that is mithya anyway. It's a wonderful practice.
I remember you mentioning it before, Jim, and I've been implementing it at my work. And like it does help me do my duties more impersonally and just compassionately.
And when you understand your own mind, you understand everybody else's. All right, next one.
Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavisthamamishwaram. Oh, did that? No,
Did you skip one?
no, I'm not the right one, right? It's 29, right?
I don't know. I haven't got in front of me.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, yeah. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samav samavasthitamishwaram nahinastyaatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Indeed, he who sees the same Lord everywhere equally dwelling, destroys not the self by the self. Therefore, he goes to the highest goal.
Yes. So again, there's three things we have to focus on. Koham, who am I? Some people think that's the end of the journey. No. Now, once you're clear that I am that witnessing consciousness, what is this world? Who are the people in it and the beings in it? Endeavoring to drop judgments, drop my likes and dislikes. The Hebrew psalmist, I love that phrase. I've used it. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Everything is God. And I promise you this, if you practice this, your world will change. I love to tell this story. I had a fellow I was working with, and at the beginning of COVID, he went down this vaccine denier rabbit hole. Well, Big Pharma's doing this, and the government's doing that, and be afraid. It's really scary out there. All these big companies are out to get us, and blah, 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 blah. And he was just fearful and angry. And I said to him, stop. I don't live in your world. You're welcome to it. But I live and move and have my being in God. I live in a beneficent universe that conspires for my well-being if I let it. What world do you know? You choose. Sarabam Kalvidam Brahma. There's a reason that's one of my favorite mantras. It's all God. Satchidananda Rupa. Its form is existence, consciousness, and bliss. And it's not so much that your physical vision reports a different world. To some degree, in time, that will happen. But we see with the jnana chakshu, the eye of wisdom, deep spiritual understanding. Next one. Are we getting close to the end?
It's
Uh,
8 o'clock.
Oh, maybe like 5 verses.
We'll finish it up next week. Actually, it's 8 o'clock. We'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. And then because it's Shivaratri, Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urdvarukami Babandhanat Mrityor Mukshi Mamritat.